This is Wednesday, May 3rd. There are 76 days until San Diego Comic-Con 2017. Welcome to SDConCast, the official podcast of the San Diego Comic-Con unofficial blog. Good evening. I am your host, James Riley. Joining me on the podcast tonight, as always, Carrie Dixon.
Hello, everybody. I'm sorry you're always stuck with me. That's good. You can barely hear it, but that's good.
And also joining us tonight, outside Comic-Con herself, Kim Twombly.
Hi, everyone.
And supposed to be on the podcast tonight is our newest member, Andy Wagner, but he is having technical difficulties. So if he is able to join us, he will pop in and magically appear. All right. So this is the start of our weekly podcasts for 2017. This is season 6 of SDConCast. We'll be here every Wednesday until San Diego Comic-Con, sharing all of the latest SDCC news and bringing you interviews with special guests. To ask us questions, tweet us at SD_comic_con or use the hashtag SDConcast. We'll be keeping an eye on YouTube live chat. So if you want to leave a comment there, we will see it. And we are just going to dive right into the news, and I will let Carrie take it away. It is the
Hotelpocalypse, the worst day of the year. I may or may not still have trauma flashbacks from previous hotel days. This year, though, it wasn't that bad, all things considered. So, as most of you presumably already know, last Tuesday was the general hotel sale, which basically at 8 a.m. Pacific time, everybody jumps into a waiting room, and you can enter the waiting room anytime until 9 a.m., and that part kind of works just like badge sales. And then at 9 o'clock, they randomize everybody into some kind of a line, some kind of an order, and then they start letting people through to fill out the form. So this year, because I want to go ahead and give kudos to Comic-Con, because this year they did a much better job of actually informing attendees of like what the process was going to be, how it was all going to work, which is something that they've never done in the past. And as David told me last year, he didn't believe that a technical guide would help, but I think that it did. I think it made people panic a lot less. It helps kind of like when you know what's going on. The main issue that we saw was a couple of people, when they would hit submit to fill out their form, it would either take them back to the queue or it would it would take them back to the form again, but everything would be completely blank. So then you're kind of sitting there going, well, did what I just submit actually go through? Did it not go through? If I submit it again, is it going to take over my earlier timestamp? Because the way that this works is they supposedly process forms in order of the timestamp that you gained access to the form. So it's really a big question, like, what do you do at that point in time? And we never really got any totally clear answers about that. I did speak to, what's her name? I believe she's the director of product development over at On Peak, and she did tell me that there was a 10-minute time, basically, to either like enter the form or to fill it out. And it was weird because when you're in the waiting room, if the little screen pops up that says like, please click here to start your request, that if you pass the 10 minutes, it would give you a little pop-up that basically said like, your 10 minutes are up. Do you want to continue? Like, do you want to actually continue? Do you want to wait? Do you want to go back in the queue? But in the forum, there was nothing that actually said, like, you have to fill this out in 10 minutes. And we also heard from other people that they definitely didn't take 10 minutes to fill out the form, and they still got the issue. So who really knows?
Yeah, it was a bit of a problem, but it was fairly minor compared to past year's problems.
Yes. And again, I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that like they actually explained things this year. Like last year was an absolute mess because everybody was like, are we being double randomized? Because clearly no one had actually proofread the copy on the form.
Right.
It was just a huge mess. And then 2 years ago, obviously, was like the worst it's ever been. Let's not even talk about 2015. But all in all, like this year seems to be going fairly well. So then on Monday, they started to announce hotel placements, and it's working a little bit differently this year. They're doing it in at least 2 groups. The first group found out on Monday. The second group is going to find out this upcoming Monday on the 8th, and then they promised that they would let everybody know who couldn't be placed at all no later than May 15th. So what that says to me is that even after May 8th, I feel like we're probably still going to get a couple more confirmation emails come through, because I think the reason they're doing this in batches is they want to try to place as many people as they possibly can. Don't you think so, James?
Yes, I do. I think that they're doing this so that the people who don't put in their deposit or cancel a room or whatever, for whatever reason, they have extra rooms show up, they can take all the people that they already placed, or even maybe they're not going to place everyone until the next couple of days. Who knows? We don't know what they're doing.
No, we don't. I know. And people keep asking me, like, so does this mean that there's going to be no downtown hotels in group 2 and they're all gone? Like, we'll tell you Monday when we see where people get placed, because we don't know.
Based on a lot of the responses we've had, though, a lot of people consider that even though, there's variances on computers and such, that a lot of people got in the first minute or two.
Yes.
Now, we don't know how many they're letting in at a time, but if a lot of people got in the first minute and a lot of people haven't heard who got in the first minute, you can kind of figure that there are going to be people still getting downtown rooms on Monday. I mean, they can't have given all of them away when we actually kind of heard from so few people.
Well, I kind of want to talk about this a little bit, because I feel like last year on the hotel front, like it was just so quiet on social media with like the amount of people who heard back on a reservation. Like it was way quieter than normal. And I think at least some of that has to do with the randomization. And I feel like a lot of people who were like less tech savvy, who like may not be on social media to even like post like, hey, I got a hotel, because we're all being randomized. I feel like a lot of those people are probably getting more rooms than the people who, had an advantage before, when it was like refresh as fast as you can, fill it out in like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
like those people are on social media. So I think that that's part of it. I'm really curious to see what happens on Monday. I definitely think we're still going to see some downtown hotels. I just don't know how many. And one thing I wanted to talk about, because I think this gets brushed over a lot, is how many rooms there actually are available. So we counted up, and if every single hotel offered every single hotel room that they have available, which they don't. Now, a lot of them offer up just about 100%, but not every hotel does. But if they did, the most downtown hotel rooms that would be available in the sale is like 11,605.
And there's a good chunk of that are going to exhibitors and to the panels.
Yeah.
So let's just give it an even number and say there are 10,000.
Okay.
So how many people are trying?
Well, that's exactly it. So if you add in Mission Valley, then Mission Valley adds another like almost 8,000. So that's like roughly 19,500 or so. So let's just call it 20K, 20,000 rooms, 130,000 attendees for 20,000 rooms. So like when you sit there and you wonder, why am I not getting a hotel room? Why is this so hard? That's why. Like there are just not enough hotel rooms. And obviously, yes, you've got like local people who don't need a hotel room. You've got some people who commute. You've got people who book outside the system. So you can like take a lot of those people out. But still, the basic problem with this hotel sale is supply and demand, like pure and simple.
And then you add in the factor of downtown versus Mission Valley,
Yes.
and
Yes.
those 10,000 rooms available downtown, you're looking at an extremely high percentage of people who want those. So if all hotels were equal and everyone stayed exactly a mile away, you wouldn't have a problem because you probably have enough hotels or close, because every year some Mission Valley hotels are still available when the con is only a few days away.
Yep. It's really
So
just those downtown hotels that
it's
like
just the fact that
everybody
people
wants.
they want downtown, and you have 20, 30, 40,000 people,
Yep.
50,000, who knows, for 10,000 hotel rooms. And it's just not going to happen where everyone's going to get one.
Right.
Excuse me, guys. Before we go on, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Man.
Hi.
Hi, Andy.
Yes,
Here.
yes, it worked. It worked.
Hi, Andy.
Hi, guys.
So this is Andy.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, wait,
Glad
wait.
to be on board.
Hold on. We need to introduce and welcome everybody. Andy Wagner is joining us.
Oh, well, hi there, guys. How are you?
We're good. We're just talking about hotels.
Hotelpocalypse.
Hotelpocalypse. All right.
Yes.
So the good news is, though, that they did add 2 new hotels to downtown this year.
Yes.
Pendry did book outside the system that we found out. I'm not sure why they weren't involved with the hotel sale, but the new Marriott told us that they were fully involved with the hotel sale.
Mhm.
And, great that they're at least, have these new hotels.
Yes, and we could use some more downtown hotels, quite frankly.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I don't know about, we don't like change, but okay, fine.
Just saying.
Just for Comic-Con, sure.
Yes. So as of right now, I mean, we did like a super, super unscientific poll on Twitter, and it worked out that it looked like basically a third or a little bit less than a third of people have heard back about their hotel so far. So we've still got roughly 2/3 of people who haven't heard anything. The good news is we still have round 2. We have no idea at this point, like if it's going to be a mix of downtown and Mission Valley, if it's going to be all Mission Valley, like we don't know. And I do know that a lot of people are pretty frustrated because like the timestamps don't always match up with what you think they should. So basically, they don't really show you your timestamp. You just kind of have to like look at your computer or guesstimate or that kind of thing. But a lot of people feel like they got in the first minute or two and they haven't heard back yet, and they don't really understand how like other people can hear back. And the fact of the matter is there are so many variables that it's truly impossible to answer this. Like, who knows? Who knows what they're doing? Like maybe your clock is off. Maybe because you requested like different days, like what you wanted wasn't available, so they're holding it to round 2 to see if something opens up. Like, we have absolutely no way to know. We really don't. So.
Yeah, and then the other problem is we don't know if they're going to place everyone and then just move further down the list once rooms become available because someone has a selection, even if they don't, it's not their first choice. We don't know.
Yep.
So then that's the problem with this is just, I think that's one of the main problems is we just don't know what's really going on.
So I want to ask you guys a question, because I've been talking about this a little bit like internally, but I want to hear like what you guys think. So the longer like that we have done Hotelpocalypse, the longer and like the more we've moved to a randomized system, the more I just don't think the way that we do this makes any kind of sense. Like, if we're all being randomized anyway, like why do we have to go into a waiting room? Why do we have to do all this? Because it makes sense with badges, because you go to the waiting room to then get through to like a live sale. Like you can purchase your badges, the inventory is live, you can see exactly what's available, all that kind of stuff. With hotels, it doesn't work that way. And quite frankly, like I'm kind of glad it doesn't, because since a lot of these hotels have like 200 or 300 rooms total, like you would have to basically let through like 100 people at a time and give them 15 minutes each, and like this would be like a week-long process. Okay, like people would be up for 4 days in the waiting room. It wouldn't be fun.
Well, yeah, I absolutely agree. You're waiting in line to fill out a form. It's worse than filling things out of the DMV.
And you're being randomized. Like it
Right.
just, it doesn't make sense to me anymore. Like I feel like we need to just like scrap this waiting room thing. And they either need to do one of two things, in my personal opinion.
Let's hear it.
Let's hear it. Not that I ever tell you guys what I think.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. I feel like they either just need to open it up for like 12 hours, 24 hours, however long they want, and just let people through and just be like, it doesn't matter what time you fill out this form. We're going to randomize it all in the end anyway. So just, you've got a day, at some point in your day, go fill out the form. We'll do the rest. Or you could theoretically do a timed sale and just do it over like a week or two. And so you're going to email people like, we've all like, maybe ask people ahead of time to sign up if they're interested. And if they say that they are, give them a specific time, like this is your time slot to book your hotel. Have them go in, like the inventory could be live, they could book it then. Like, I feel like either of those makes so much more sense than the way that we're doing it.
Yeah, if all we're doing is filling out a form, and it's random when we get in to fill the form, then move that randomization to after you fill out the form. And it's the same exact process. You're not changing anything.
And I feel like you'd have a lot less pissed off people, because now all everybody's doing is sitting around and like comparing timestamps. And I get it. Like we want this to be like as fair for us as possible. We want to know that like they're doing what they say they're doing. I get it. We want like that tiny little bit of control, but think of like how much less stressful it would be. Like if it was just like, you've got a day to go fill out this form, you get what you get.
Well, yeah, and you touched on it earlier, Carrie. We tried really hard to figure out if there was a pattern, rhyme, reason, whatever to this. And all we could really figure out was, I am one with the shrug, and the shrug is with me.
Basically, yes.
Love it. Well, then, I like your second idea. I hadn't heard that before. And there's something to be said for that immediate satisfaction of knowing what you're getting. You have your time slot that you've signed up for. You're given your time slot. You know what you're getting. And then...
Well, and I feel like ultimately that might be more fair, because the way that it works right now is basically like, if you're rooming with people, every single roommate goes in and fills out a form, because you don't know like who's going to get in first. And so sometimes you wind up with two hotels, and then like you can either room swap them or you can give them back up and somebody else can get them. Like it's the whole thing. And I just don't feel, the longer we do this, the more I'm like, this makes no sense.
And it'll ultimately filter out the downtown or bust people, because if they go in there and they've got their list of available hotels and downtown isn't there, they're just going to say, oh, well, bust. And they'll leave, and those hotel rooms are going to stay open for people who actually want them.
Yes. So, I mean, I'm sure there's someone over at CCI who's going like, you don't understand the logistics of this. Like, this would never work. But
wait. CCI, no, On Peak. Let's be honest here. On Peak is watching us just laughing.
I think On Peak is watching us with pitchforks in their hands, but sure.
We're assuming that On Peak even cares.
Nailed it in one. Nailed it. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm really happy that like this year, I feel like had less technical errors. There was actual communication. Yes, the communication could still be better, but there was communication. But I just don't know. Like, I'm just not sure that this makes sense anymore to me, but whatever.
I agree. As a spectator, just sitting back and watching Hotelpocalypse just consume everybody, I noticed last year was painful. It was painful for me to watch, and I'm sure it was painful for you guys to actually go through. I my heart went out to everybody. I just wanted to invite you all over to my 1,100 square foot condo and say we're just going to party all weekend. But in that case, my wife gets mad at me, and then I'll be out in a box. So yeah,
That's kind of a problem. Yes.
yeah. But have we talked about the worst case scenario as
No.
to what would happen if they didn't get a room?
No. So why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit about that?
Okay. So let's say that the 8th rolls around and you don't get your email, and no later than, quote unquote, the 15th rolls around and you get that tear-jerking rejection email that says, nope, sorry, we don't have a hotel for you. What are your options? Well, there are a couple of options. One of the riskier of these options is a short-term rental or Airbnb, something along those lines. Those are incredibly risky, especially here in San Diego. The reason being is a lot of the local San Diego communities, including the city of San Diego itself, are turning short-term rental hostile. The city attorney just, I believe 2 months ago, declared short-term rentals illegal. So if you book yourself a short-term rental in the city of San Diego, you are doing it at your own risk. Del Mar has a moratorium on short-term rentals, which means that the ones that are there can keep going, but no new ones can pop up. I live out in the East County. I don't really think we have a short-term rental problem because nobody wants to live here in the first place. But it's my little slice of heaven, and I'm happy with it. Otherwise, oh, I'm sorry, Carrie, go ahead.
No, you're totally fine. I just wanted to also bring up the fact, like, yes, short-term rentals are like, it's very questionable, like whether it's necessarily even legal in San Diego. But on top of that, like, we hear so many horror stories every single year of people who book a rental on Airbnb or Vrbo or any of the others, and then the owner realizes, oh, it's Comic-Con week, I can make so much more money, and then they'll cancel their rental and rebook it or relist it for like 4 times the amount of money. And yes, they're not supposed to do that, and sometimes like Airbnb will help you, but sometimes like they can't. And again, we see this happen every single year, so I'm always like really cautious about suggesting people use those.
In fact, I heard from a Twitter user just last week who mentioned that exact same thing. They had booked a rental. The person renting it realized, oh, it's Comic-Con, and they canceled that person's rental, relisted it at 4 times the price, like you were saying, and that was it. There was really very little that person can do. Airbnb was sympathetic to a point, but they're really, again, you've got those terms and conditions that nobody reads in the first place. Once you click on I accept, you're bound. So.
Well, and even in our chat right now, Trina76 says, last year I got bait and switched for Airbnb. Thankfully, I got a full refund from Airbnb, but I had to scramble for a place to stay on Tuesday.
Yep.
So that's exactly it. Like, yeah, you might get your money back, but if this happens in like late June, good luck finding a hotel.
Oh, agreed. And on the other hand, we've heard of raging success stories. We've heard people that have booked through Airbnb and they came down, stayed on the cheap, enjoyed Comic-Con, and had a wonderful time. And if you are successful in booking through a short-term rental, more power to you. I am just incredibly happy that you enjoy that experience. I just personally see it as a huge risk. That's all.
So what are some other options if you don't want to go Airbnb or Vrbo?
Well, some other options are you've got the hotel exchange. Some people, like you said, they wind up getting more than one accommodation for the weekend, or plans change, they suddenly back out at the last moment and they have to cancel their reservation. Okay, so they can either go through a hotel exchange. Twitter is a great option. We've seen a couple of instances this week where you just go through the hashtag SDCC, hey, I need a room, or hey, something happened and I had to cancel. Does somebody want my room? And I know that we as the blog have facilitated a couple of room exchanges to everyone's delight. So even if you don't get that hotel room through Hotelpocalypse, all hope is not necessarily lost. The resale is going to happen. The exchanges are always out there. Don't give up hope. Don't commit harry-carry. Don't go through a wall because you think you have to sleep in a box downtown in the Hall H line.
Well, not only that, but you can also book outside the system. You can stay further out and take the trolley. And I also want to mention, when the dust eventually settles from this sale, there are always Mission Valley hotels available at con rate, always. So
and even outside Mission Valley, like I said, I'm in East County. I'm in the El Cajon Santee Lakeside area. If you book a cheap hotel out here, I take the trolley down. Every day for the con, I catch the first trolley at 5:30 in the morning. I head down. I don't miss a thing. I've gone into Ballroom 20 on Friday, Saturday, when it's on its peak times, and I have gotten into the front third of the room. I think last year I could see Colin O'Donoghue's nose hairs, so I was that close. So really, there are other options. There are other hotels outside of the Comic-Con system, outside of the downtown area, and even outside of Hotel Circle.
yes, absolutely. So is there anything else we want to talk about for the hotel sale? Does anybody have any questions on Twitter or in the chat or anything?
I'm not seeing any. No.
I'm not seeing anything either. Again, I really want to say that I feel like CCI actually communicating this year made a big difference in how the sale is going. So I'm very happy about that.
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so that's our Hotelpocalypse halfway wrap up. We'll talk a little bit more about the rest of it next week.
Yes. Yes, we will.
But coming up next, what Carrie?
Oh,
Yes.
I was just going to say, Lenny asked in the chat about the 2 missing hotels, and what he's talking about is the 2 hotels over on Coronado Island. We don't really know what happened with those. On Peak claimed that they had already sold out, but they weren't available in Early Bird. So we think more than likely they either filled up in the exhibitor sale, or it's possible that a studio booked them out or things of that nature. But for whatever reason, they do not appear to be available through On Peak. So very strange, but that's what it is. So let's talk exclusives.
Oh, I love exclusives.
So, James,
All right.
what's the biggest news?
What's big news? Well, first big news was at Star Wars Celebration. We got our first look at some Star Wars exclusives from Hasbro. And the first one is the Star Wars Black Series X-34 Landspeeder and 6-inch Luke. It's going to retail for $89.99. The regular version, that's not the Comic-Con exclusive, will retail for $59.99. And then we also saw the Star Wars Black Series 6-inch Grand Admiral Thrawn. Will be $49.99. The regular retail when it comes out will be $19.99. And basically what you're getting with those is you're getting maybe a little bit higher quality finish, a different look, maybe some extra packaging. So maybe an extra figure or accessory, things like that.
Yeah, so for the Thrawn one, actually, I think basically all of those accessories that you see are the Comic-Con version, and then that really
looks really cool.
packaging. It does. It looks really neat. They both do, actually.
Yeah, so we have that first,
and then
which is awesome.
It is awesome, and it's always nice when we get Hasbro news right off the bat, and there's going to be a whole bunch more coming from Hasbro. We also got some other news that weekend from Star Wars Celebration. So Gentle Giant showed off there a couple different things, including 2 really cool Star Wars busts. One is a X-Wing pilot Luke Skywalker bust, and then the other one is a New Hope Darth Vader classic bust. And they both come with some pretty cool concept art. We don't have prices for either of these yet, but they look really neat. You can find all that information on our blog. And then Bluefin Tamashii Nations is coming back with another of their, I'm about to butcher this word, May show movie realization SDCC exclusive. Basically, it's some like Japanese armor, Ronin armor thing. They do these every year. They look really cool. I can't pronounce it, but I think they look really cool. And this year is going to be Boba Fett in Ronin armor. And then, like James said, we also got that really cool Hasbro news. So those have been the main big ones, but we also got some news from Hallmark, I believe, didn't we, Andy?
Yes, Hallmark, I love. I'll be honest, I've been collecting the Hallmark ornaments since I was in high school, which let's not go into how long ago that was, but it's been a decade or two. This year, they're offering a reissue of the USS Enterprise NCC 1701C. C as in Charlie, like you would have seen in the episode Yesterday's Enterprise. It depicts the iconic starship with a battle damage paint scheme. So that will be new for this reissue, I believe. It's only going to have a production run of 3,325, and sales will be limited to only 225 per day. And with the way I've seen exclusives go at Comic-Con, 225 a day sounds like a lot, but that can go in probably about 5 minutes. The next one that I'm seeing is what's really hot this year from Suicide Squad is the Harley Quinn keepsake ornament. It's Margot Robbie's interpretation of the Harley Quinn character, not the Batman animated series Harley Quinn. So if you really like the Margot Robbie version, which personally I did, I thought she did the role justice. You can pick this up as well. It is only going to have a run of 2,575, and sales of those will be limited to only 175 per day. So definitely, if you're going to jump on that, jump on it quick. The next one I'm seeing is from Star Wars. It is the T-70 X-Wing fighter. That is from Episode 7, The Force Awakens, the new one, not to be confused with Rogue One, the prequel. It's a repaint of the 2016 one, and it also includes Poe Dameron and BB-8 before the Starfighter was destroyed on Jakku. So you get a little taste of that one there. The picture looks incredibly authentic. Hallmark always does a good job with these. They're limited to a production run of 3,275, and those sales will only be limited to 275 per day. And let's see here. Wow, Hallmark
They announced everything.
Yes.
Everything I think they're going to have.
They
like,
threw it
let's
all in
get
the
it out.
So you're going to just,
Yep,
you're going to hear me for a while. So
this is what they do every year, yeah.
Yeah, grab some popcorn and hold on. The next one is the Walrus Man. The Walrus Man you'll remember from A New Hope, who didn't like Luke Skywalker, and his buddy didn't like him either, in the Mos Eisley Cantina. That is an itty bitties plush. For you throwback fans, it's going to have a total production run of an even 4,000, and sales will be limited to 300 per day, and that just looks adorable. And next is the Imperial R2-Q5 droid. It looks kind of like R2-D2, but it's painted a lot differently. It is a black and copper with a little bit of blue accent in there. And R2-Q5 is a calendar. And of course, this calendar in the picture is out to May the 4th. So May the 4th be with you and also with you. It has a total production run of only 1,600, and only 170 of them will be offered for sale each day. So if you really want R2-Q5 to sit on your desk and tell you what day it is, you better get there early in the morning. And last but not least, we got the Wonder Woman Hallmark Itty Bitties ornament, which we don't have a picture of, but the only info we have on that one is that it will be available at Comic-Con with sales limited to 100 per day. So that's all we have going on from Hallmark.
That's quite a bit. So yeah, so that's actually everything that Hallmark will be bringing this year. We've gotten some other exclusive news. as well. We've seen 2 Star Wars convention exclusives from Gentle Giant that they also actually sold at Star Wars Celebration. And then Cryptozoic has announced 2 of their exclusives so far, including the Golden Goddesses, which were really cool. They did a small little pre-sale for, I believe, 50 sets, and then the rest, which is like, I'm not looking at the thing, but I think it's like 200 to 300 will be available for sale at the show. And then this Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, they will have up for pre-sale their metallic red 25th anniversary Harley Quinn little DC Bombshells figure, which looks pretty cool. In the chat, Sir Lister of Smeg asked around when will pop exclusive news start coming out. That'll be in June. We should have a lot of exclusive news that will kind of start here. We, like last year, we found out some Mattel news in May. We usually get a little bit more Hasbro news in May. There's just going to be a lot basically from now until July.
Yes, we're still in the slow season as news picks up. So, I mean, we only have like 7 or 8 news items, big news items, but that's going to start being 7 or 8 news items a day in a month or so. So, get ready. We also have some pretty big offsite news. Kim, would you like to let us know what that is?
Certainly, because funny story. I was driving past the Spreckles Theater this weekend. My husband was driving, and I was actually commenting about Conan, coming there, excited to see him back there this summer. And all props to my husband, he noticed that the front of the marquee mentioned Conan and Comic-Con dates, but only Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So I posted a photo on social media, and it got a little bit of an uproar because Wednesday wasn't mentioned, and they'd had Wednesday shows the past 2 years. But we did reach out to Team Coco, and they confirmed that they are filming 4 shows again to air on same days as previously, Wednesday through Saturday, airing not on Friday? Friday off, right?
They don't air on Friday nights.
So at any rate, they are back again, just as before, for the full 4 days. So that was very exciting news to receive, just proving that the marquee was wrong on the Spreckles. But it's nice that the Spreckles was promoting them already. That was exciting to see.
It's very cool. I really enjoyed. I managed to get tickets to 2 different shows, and I had a great time.
It's one of the most fun things that you can do, and fingers securely crossed that Conan bingo. That's what you and I really want, Kim.
I know, because I've had friends that did that the first year, and they said it was so much fun. So it'd really be nice if Conan Team Coco brought that back.
A Timeless Love on the chat asked, "How do you get tickets to Conan?" So let's mention that real quick.
I think it's last year it was in June anyway, through a website called One Iota. And we will have the full details, but it's a lottery situation. So you just enter your information, what days you want, and you hear back. Was it within a week? It was pretty quick.
It was pretty quick. Yeah, I don't either. I looked the other day, and they actually went up on July 8th, so it must have been relatively quick that we heard back.
Oh yeah. Last year, that's right. Last year was a little bit last minute.
Yes,
but so, Comic-Con was later last year, so.
Yes, but they let you know relatively soon. And the nice thing is if you get a confirmation email, you don't really have to show up that early. I think you have to show up at least an hour or 2 before the show to pick up your exchange your e-ticket for an actual ticket and a wristband, but it's really painless.
Yeah, if you don't care where you sit and you just want to attend, you just show up sometime in the morning-ish. Yeah. Late morning, and get your ticket, and then come back about an hour before showtime.
Yes, and if for some reason if you don't win the lottery, but you absolutely want to go, they do standby, and people do get in on standby. So that's absolutely an option. The lines last year for standby, in my opinion, were a little excessive.
Yeah,
I remember reading it was Tuesday night at like 8 p.m. and someone was like tweeting me like, I'm in line for tomorrow's standby. And I'm like, the con hasn't started.
Oh,
You're not supposed to be doing that yet.
hardcore.
So
Yeah.
it can be a little bit of a wait, but there is the standby option and people absolutely do make it in off that.
Copper is Cool asked how many tickets. I think you can request 1 to 4 tickets. At least.
Was it 1 to 4?
I know it was
1 to
definitely
4 or 1 to 2.
It was definitely 1 to 2, but I think you could request up to 4. I remember people mentioning that they got 4 in past years.
Okay, I think you might be right.
So I'm pretty sure it's 4, but it won't be more than 4.
No.
And I think I read people talking about it, and they said that they have requested 4 and gotten them. So requesting 4 won't keep you from getting them. I think it really is just random. They'll get them away until they run out.
It's totally random. And actually, like there was like a very small handful of people who won for more than one show. So like you can technically, like you can try for every single show, and odds are not good you're going to get every show, but you might get 1 or 2. So trying for multiple shows does not hurt your chances.
Yes. So that's Conan, and we have one other offsite to talk about.
So we announced our offsite and prize giveaway information yesterday. So I know a couple of you are a little bit sad, but Enchantment under the SDCC is going on a little hiatus this year for mostly James and I's sanity.
Yeah, it's not you. It's us.
It's us. It's
We're
not
taking a break.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not you guys. It's not a money thing. It's literally a time management issue. So instead this year, and I'm super excited about it, but we're going to do 2 Blog 2 Furious. And basically I really want to take this back to like the first year at Henry's, where it wasn't just about us like giving out a million things all night long, but about like actually getting to talk to you guys. Like, doesn't that sound crazy?
What? You want us to be social?
I know, like actual communication. Oh my God.
Are you feeling okay?
I know. I don't think I am. I don't think I've thought this through. But I think it's going to be fun. So we're going to be at McFadden's on Wednesday night from 7 p.m. to, it says 11 p.m. I have a feeling we'll probably be there later than that. It's just going to be like a real casual thing. Like you really don't need to show up like super early. Like just stop by, say hello, have a drink, like maybe eat dinner there, and just hang out. Like, I just want this to be fun and casual and just like, we just want to talk to you guys. That's really what this is.
But Carrie, what about all the prizes we usually gave away at Enchantment under the SDCC? What's going to happen to all of those?
They are all going to be pushed to Prize Mule or a Prize Moose, as Kim is holding up, or Prize Moose. So what we're going to do instead this year is we're still going to work with like just about all the same companies. We're still working to secure everything right now, but like we're still going to give away Hasbro Fast Pass. We're still working with the NinjaBot, Toddland, Factory Entertainment, Viz Media. I'm forgetting people, but we're going to work with all of them again. And basically, if you've been following the last 2 years, we do this silly little thing that I love called Prize Mule, where we'll tweet a photo of the prize mule that's somewhere with the hashtag Adventures of Prize Mule. And if you are the first person who comes and finds the prize mule, then you win whatever the prize is. So you don't have to pay money to win things. Like, it's fun. It's kind of like a scavenger hunt. It's really cool. So we're going to be doing a ton of those this year. Every single member of our team has a mule/unicorn, a moose in Kim's case, or that's Gary the Dragon, who is my personal favorite.
We love Gary.
Man,
dang it, Gary.
We don't get Gary out of here.
Gary causes too much trouble.
He
Gary's
does.
mean.
Gary is mean. So I really hope that you guys noticed in the photos that like he's pushing the mules down the slide. Like, he's also hanging out awkwardly in the background of most of those photos.
and I want to say that I think everyone vetoed me having all of mine be prize mule droppings. They didn't want me to do that.
We did veto that, yes.
So you won't be getting the hashtag prize mule droppings, unfortunately. But whatever.
I know. The world is a worse place for that, I'm afraid. Gary is the man. I love this. People love Gary. I love Gary.
I don't love Gary. He picked on my mule.
He did. He
Knocked them all down.
He knocked all of them down. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I really hope you guys are excited. Like, basically our goal with this is we want to give away as much stuff as we possibly can in as fun of a way as we possibly can. And I think this is going to be cool. So
yeah,
I hope you guys like it.
We'll have the usual buttons, sunglasses, things like that. So if you happen to see a prize mule and we didn't announce, I mean, for me personally, if I have buttons on me and you come up and say, hey, Adventures of Prize Mule Droppings, I'm going to give you a button.
Yeah,
so,
same.
You know, so we'll have stuff on us most of the time, but when we do tweet out a picture of where the prize mule is, or that the prize mule left something in a little discreet spot for someone to come find, then, you know, have at it. And we're talking about some good stuff here. I mean, you know, we're giving away, thanks to Factory Entertainment, we're giving away that Game of Thrones crown.
Oh my God!
Right now.
Oh, that's
it's
awesome.
Amazing. It retails for $350, guys. Like, they took a casting of the screen used prop, and like apparently the real prop wasn't made of metal, but it looked like metal. So like theirs is made of metal, so it's almost like better than the original. Like, it's really cool. But it's the Game of Thrones Robert Baratheon crown from Factory Entertainment. We're giving that away right now on our site. I also wanted to mention real quick, we would, if you're even like somewhat thinking about stopping by To Blog, Too Furious, the sequel, probably no one wanted, please go on our Facebook event page and just like mark that you're interested so that we can like kind of gauge interest. That would be most helpful. So
if we need some sort of tent outside on the street.
Yeah, for those larger things that we may be giving away, because I know last year we had a few large boxed heavy things. The prize mule selection time and place will probably be very close to one of our hotels, because we're not going to want to walk very far.
Oh my God, guys! Like last year, like I just like went down to the Omni lobby and I was like, "Prize mules here! Like, come on! I'm not going anywhere."
Yeah,
I just want to sit in the aircon.
Yeah, exactly. It's air conditioned here, people. Come and find me. You're going to enjoy it too. Let's get a drink. Let's hang out. Get your prize. All right, but if I'm doing it again, I'm only going to give away one prize when I say it's one prize. I don't care what any of you say. I'm not going to be easy this year.
That is an absolute lie. Do not believe that man. But all right.
I'll do like 1 in all 10 prizes.
James doesn't follow the rules.
No,
Whatever.
James never follows the rules. All right, so Kim, tell us, like, there's been a bunch of other, like...
Yeah, I mean, it's great. We're getting all this news. So Wootstock is back for year number 9 at the Balboa. Tickets are already on sale. The Woot Stout Festival, HopCon, is back at Stone Brewing at Liberty Station and about 10 minutes away from downtown. And tickets are on sale for that as well through the Stone website, Stone Brewing website. Nerd HQ is back at the Children's Museum.
Yes.
Yeah, woohoo! So excited. Her Universe Fashion Show, they talked a bit, there was a panel about that at WonderCon, actually. That was a lot of fun. Although I don't know if it's the Hyatt yet or not, but
we do know that.
Hooray. I have to add that to my site. Here's Brewfest, went on sale the other day, Monday. And they've back a little closer to the convention. They moved away for a while and are back. And tickets are lower in cost this year. So that's kind of nice. They're up by the waterfront park near the what hotel is that? Kind of above the Midway a little bit. So a little bit of distance away from the convention center. Kevin Smith has 2 shows at the American Comedy Club. One I just heard about today, which was Fat Man on Batman. And the other one is him and...
It's that Jay and Silent Bob Get Old with him and Jason Mewes. Right.
So those are on sale through the American Comedy Co. Game of Thrones musical, I know nothing about.
I mean, it's right. I think it sounds amazing. They promise like tap dancing dire wolves and like hip hop Tyrion like Lannister. It should be amazing.
So I need to research that more.
Yes.
Last year, the same troupe put on Once Upon a Time, a
Yes.
musical, and
Yes.
I didn't get to go see it, but from what I saw, it was hilarious. I
Yeah.
heard nothing but good things about it. So if it's the same people, which it should be, putting on Game of Thrones, the musical, I can't imagine it's going to be anything less than hilarious.
And then Sci-Fi Live is also back this year. And I've got cars going off outside. So everything can be found on our calendar.
Yes.
Yes.
And one of the other big announcements from just about 2 weeks ago-ish, 2.5, something like that, was the announcement that Marvel is coming back to Comic-Con. And it, Hollywood Reporter had an interview with Kevin Feige, and he announced that they were coming back. And this is actually pretty big news because it's a D23 year, and D23 is happening the week before Comic-Con. And so it was basically really, really worrisome about whether or not they were going to come to Comic-Con this year because they would be doing everything at D23. But they will be here.
And I think it makes sense that they'll be here. You were a little more skeptical than I was on this one, but they have so much coming up on their slate. Like Thor Ragnarok comes out in November, Black Panther comes out in February. They've got Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Like they can announce some Captain Marvel news. There's so much stuff that I feel like they're not going to have that much of a problem like splitting it between the two.
Right, and they can show some exclusive stuff to D23, and they can bring cast out for Comic-Con and D23. And I was skeptical they would show up because they have skipped years in the past.
Yes.
But I also thought that it was a very good idea for them not to skip because it allows, and this for all of Disney's properties, for Disney Studios, Marvel Studios, and for Lucasfilm, it gives them the opportunity because they're going to be at D23, obviously. And that's only 4 days later that Comic-Con happens. Why not keep all or most of your cast in town, send them to Disneyland for a few days for the photo ops, and have them go to Comic-Con as well in the same region, and you get an entire week's worth of dominating the news in the nerd market.
Yep.
It makes sense to me, but who knows?
Absolutely. So here's the next question for you, James. Since we now know that Marvel is definitely coming back, they're going to be back in Hall H, all that kind of stuff, what does that mean for Star Wars? Because so far we haven't had a year where Star Wars and Marvel both came in the same year.
But when Star Wars does come to Comic-Con, they're on Fridays.
They are.
So I think that it's possible. And considering, again, Star Wars, Lucasfilm has a very good relationship with Comic-Con. They have been going every time, virtually, they have something coming out when it makes sense. Obviously, on the time frame, didn't work out for Rogue One. I mean, it technically did, but, you know, whatever.
Yes.
But they do have a good relationship. So I am thinking that Star Wars will be there. I think now with this Marvel announcement, it ups the possibility of it.
I agree with that.
I'm hoping. And then for all of you who are going to go to Hall H this coming year, my sympathies, because then you will have Star Wars on Friday, most likely, and Marvel Studios on Saturday. And Hall H will basically be a mass of people that just doesn't move for like 4 days. The mass of people goes from the line into Hall H.
But how are you going to line up for both?
Yeah, that's going to be a problem, isn't it?
Some people might have to choose. This is going to be like hardcore.
It is, yeah.
Well, let's not forget, Star Wars has a history of clearing out Hall H just by offering some sort of big event right there. So if you're really looking forward to that panel right after the Star Wars panel, you could probably walk right in.
Oh, that's true of anything you put after either of those. Like literally anything.
Which is why they put them. normally why they put them at the end of the day.
Yes, correct. So real quick,
I don't know why someone didn't do that.
I don't either. But let's move right along. So Tarina76 asked, and this is kind of tangentially related, has Netflix softened on SDCC? So really what we're talking about, or what we were just talking about, was movies. Marvel Studios, and then like the ABC TV side of things, and Marvel TV. Those are really like two separate entities, even though they're all under the same parent company. But it is not, I have seen nothing to indicate that Netflix has really softened on SDCC. If you noticed last year, it was Marvel, not Netflix, who brought Luke Cage. I have a feeling that we're probably going to get the Defenders this year, but again, it'll be Marvel, not Netflix, bringing that. I will be well and truly shocked if we get anything like Stranger Things or basically any other Netflix show except the Defenders. So
Yeah, although and Netflix is just a weird thing. So eventually we'll either find out or they'll just decide to start coming to Comic-Con again. We'll see.
Maybe. So, Andy, we don't have too much panel news lately, but we do know one other panel that's definitely going to be there this year. And what's that?
That is right. Speaking of panels, Outlander actually announced that they will be back at Comic-Con this year. You Outlander fans might remember, myself included, that they decided not to come to Comic-Con last year. And the reasoning behind that was pretty simple. They had already finished their season. They didn't have anything filmed for season 2. So really they had nothing to offer the fans except for maybe a panel, some Q&A, Sam Hugan looking really, really good for everybody, which I know wouldn't have disappointed a lot of people, but they really didn't have much to offer, according to what they said. This year, however, they're promising that they're going to have things. Personally, I'm an Outlander fan, so I'll probably be in line for that panel, trying to get up in that front third of Ballroom 20, which we're anticipating they're going to be in again. So maybe I'll be able to answer the question if Sam Hugan wears his kilt in the traditional Scottish style or if they are not that authentic. So if you guys are wondering about that, maybe I'll be able to let you guys know. But I'm really excited about having Outlander back. That's a wonderful show. If you haven't watched it already, it's on Showtime. Amazon Prime has it for streaming. You can catch up on seasons 1 and 2. Wonderful cast, wonderful story. If you're into Scottish folklore, Celtic mythology, that sort of thing, beautiful story.
Absolutely. And I know a lot of people are super excited that it's going to be coming back. So that pretty much does it for our panel news. I did want to mention just real quick, the other like really big thing that's going on right now is parking. So you already had to have signed up for the Ace Lottery, and they let people know last week, the week before, I think it was last week, what group you were in there. So every Monday, a new group gets access to purchase parking. I don't believe anything is sold out at this point. I need to double check that in the morning. But right now, group 1 is going through. They'll continue doing this for 6 weeks. And then on June 12th, everything that's left, and there's always parking spots that are left, will open up to the general public. So that's the other like really big thing that's going on right now. Do we want to answer some reader questions?
Yeah,
or?
We do have some reader questions that we solicited some on Twitter earlier today. Beanie Jedi 33 asked, kind of early to be thinking about this, but how early should I be in line for autograph drawings and sales? Early.
Early.
Morning.
Yes. So
pretty early.
It depends on a lot of things. It depends on like what autograph you're after, how popular it's going to be, that kind of thing. But yeah, the answer is basically fairly early.
Yeah.
If the sun's already up and you're just getting to the line, you're probably a little late.
Yes.
For the big ones, yes. For some of the smaller smaller ones, or some of the animateds and random other stuff. Those usually go quickly, but not nearly as quickly as things like last year's Suicide Squad and things like that.
Yes, absolutely.
So it just depends on what it is. They either go insanely fast or fast.
So I want Kim to answer this one first. But Manuel Ramos asked us, what did you enjoy more last year, the convention or events outside the con? So tell us, outside Comic-Con.
Yeah, she might be biased.
I am slightly sorry. There's just so much going on when you don't have to get all the way into the convention center. There's a lot in there too, but there's so much else.
One of the outside events that I really enjoyed for last year, it was the first year for them, was Comic-Con HQ. They had their offsite right outside the convention center, and to me, it felt like it was Comic-Con proper.
It was fun.
Yeah,
one of us was on Comic-Con HQ live from Comic-Con. I was on there for like 2.5 minutes, but it was fun. No, they was a good show. I mean, I got to hang out there for about half an hour before I went on, and got to see a little bit of things happening. But basically, it was like a really fast-moving mini version of what was going on inside the convention center and just general news. So you got like 5 minutes with the Orphan Black cast, and then a little bit of Q&A with someone else, and then it just kind of was like a pretty snappy little mini Comic-Con. You could just sit out there on the lawn in front of the hotel and watch a show. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty neat. I don't know if we know if they're going to be back yet. I don't think I've heard, but I would expect so.
Yes, we expect them to be back. We haven't heard officially, but I think that they're probably going to. What else we have? Is that it for the questions? Is there any? We had some questions on the group. Let's see. A Timeless Love asked, any advice on press? They just got their acceptance email. What's the next step? Well, just like with the pros and stuff, you wait for badge registration to open, and then you just go and click the buttons to have them send you your badge, and you're good to go. And if you don't do it before it gets mailed, do we get ours mailed? I never remember.
Yeah, we got ours mailed.
Yeah,
it's incredibly painless. Like, they give you like a couple of weeks. You basically just go and click a button. It's a guaranteed badge. Like, it's the least stressful badge sale.
Lucky for getting approved already.
Yes.
And let's see if there was. Someone else asked a question about line weights. Lori George asked about how long is the line weight for autographs, which we just talked about. So if you want to rewind and listen, but basically it just depends on when you get in line and how long the line is at the time. It can be pretty bad, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and then did we have any other questions?
What about entertainment? What about EW?
I think he means Entertainment Weekly, not Entertainment Tonight. That will not be back this year. I did not make it out there, but I know that Robert on our staff did, and he really enjoyed it. I think it was just way too far out of the way in as much heat as we had last year for most people to wander their way over there. So unfortunately, it was just location and weather.
Yep. It was way too humid for San Diego. Not normal.
It was awful. So hoping this year is a little bit better.
Yeah, that's the one time you heard us San Diegans complain about the weather.
Hey, yeah. I'm from Oklahoma, and I almost passed out on Wednesday. It was not about that. So we have some really awesome special guests lined up for the podcast all season, and I'm so happy that we actually pretty much have it all booked out right now. So happy. Starting next week with Toddland's own Todd Masters, who's a whole lot of fun, and he will be discussing Bob's Burgers, Comic-Con, that awesome Bob's Burgers restaurant setup that they have at their booth that I love, their WonderCon exclusives, and a whole lot more. We'll see if we can get some cool information out of him, but it's going to be a whole lot of fun. So tune in next week for that. And was there anything else we needed to mention, guys?
I don't think so. That's about it for this week. I think we can go into our closing now. Andy, what kind of things should people, if they want more information, what should they do?
Well, I would definitely encourage them to sign up for our newsletter. The link is in our show notes, and you can go to sdccblog.com and find a link there as well. Catch up on all the latest news. Sorry, Carrie, go ahead.
No, you're fine. The newsletter will start going out here in the next couple of weeks, basically when news starts picking up just a little bit more. But we'll send that out every week. Like, it's a really cool way just to get a quick little digest of everything that's going on, because it can be really hard sometimes to like keep up with everything. I write it and I feel that way. As you can probably tell, news has already started though, and the Under the Tents column is back, and Andy is actually, for the most part, handling those and doing a wonderful job. And of course, we'll have all kinds of other news and posts and everything on our site.
Yeah, and I'm trying to keep up with all the posts for Under the Tents. Wow.
And it hasn't even really picked up yet either. Yeah, this is your practice run, and it gets. I mean, we get 2 a day in the last few weeks. So
bring it on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the right attitude.
Yeah, right.
We'll wear you down.
I'm okay with that. That's fine.
All right. So in closing, thank you all for joining us tonight. We hope you'll join us every week for the next, I think it's 11 or 12 weeks until Comic-Con will bring you news, opinions, special guests, all leading up to San Diego Comic-Con 2017. Kim, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
I am Outside Comic-Con on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and website outsidecomiccon.com, where I have kind of a list going, but it needs some work. Andy, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
Well, I'm on Twitter at Andrew J. Wagner 76, and I am on Instagram at WackyWags, WACKYWAGS 76. So you can find a lot of my work there. I'll use Twitter to be posting my selfies for the prize mule drops. So of course I'll have my prize mule in there, but yeah, I'm going to flood Twitter with selfies this con. I don't care. So, Carrie, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter, if you can spell it, at Carrie Dixon. And James, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
I am all over the internet at Dan Riegel, and you can check out geekshotphoto.com for photography from my wife and I. All right, cool.
We are on iTunes. If you'd like to subscribe, the links are up in the blog, or you can search for SDConCast. If you like what you've heard so far, please review us. We're also on Stitcher Radio. The link is in the show notes.
If you want to get a hold of us, you can send us an email at sdcomiccon.blog@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/sdconblog, or tweet us at SD_comic_con. Thank you for listening, everybody. Go.
Warm.